Hey everyone! So today is a very exciting day because today I get to kick these plants out of my house. So we're finally getting to the point in Chicago where actually it almost seems like we're jumping from winter to summer with barely any spring weather, but we're finally getting up into like the 70s during the day, low 60s at night, which means a lot of these plants that want the warmer temperatures can get out of my house and into the garden. And I think this is the most number of plants I've ever had kind of waiting inside my house. Obviously I had the plants I started from seed, but I have like my dahlias, I have some plants that I've bought like tomatoes and peppers that are waiting for the warmer weather as well, but they've definitely been taking up space that I don't necessarily have for them to take up. But it is nice to be able to start things inside a little bit earlier just to give them a head start since our growing season isn't the longest growing season around. But now I'll just take you around and show you kind of what's been in the house, and then we'll get things outside, not necessarily in their permanent place, but at least kind of the general area for where they're gonna go on my deck. So let me show you what has been spending their time inside. So here is a look at what's been spending time inside. So basically, again, the things that really need warmer weather, I'm finally able to move out. So over here I have my dahlias. This is the one from last year that I brought in from the garage to help it start sprouting a little bit earlier and make sure it was still alive. And then the other dahlias I started as well. I have some of my Gomphrena seedlings there and there. Now, just as a general tip, you do want to make sure anything that you've started inside, you aren't just moving outside without any sort of acclimation. So you want to harden off your seedlings, basically giving them a little bit of time outside every day and then slowly increasing that so they're used to the elements. Because if they're not used to the sun or the wind or the change in temperatures from day to evening, you can kill your plants. And you don't want to do that when you have spent the time that it takes to actually start them. So Gomphrena Dahlias. I have my herbs, so my basil and my mint, which again like warmer temps than some of the other herbs, so those have been coming in at night as well. And then I have some plants that I've just picked up from garden centers that I think I'm ready to take outside. Not necessarily plant a lot of these because, as I'll show you, my tulips are still growing and I need to remove the tulips before I plant a lot of these things, so that'll happen in the next couple weeks. But I have strawberry plants here, my Supertunias, more of the plants that I started inside. I have an eggplant. There's a pepper plant in here somewhere, and then 2 tomato plants as well. So even though I'm not necessarily planting them yet in their final places, I will at least be storing them outside. And it just makes everything so much easier. I mean, it gives me more space, and also it's much easier to water things outside and not worry about making a mess. So let's go ahead and get these out into the garden. I can feel myself already getting anxious about not having enough space and kind of figuring out where everything's gonna go, but let me show you what I brought outside and the general idea where I think I'm going to be keeping things in the garden. So here are all of the dahlias, and I only have one which hasn't sprouted at all yet, and I have dug my hand down just to make sure that the bulb wasn't rotted, and it still feels pretty solid. I just don't see any growth on it. This one, so I had 2 of every variety except for the Penhill watermelon that I grew last year because the one I stored inside over winter did not make it. This one is the Emery Paul, so I might only have 1 of those if this one doesn't sprout at some point soon. But I have 2 of Otto's Thrill and then 2 of, I think, the Edison. Now the plan will be, assuming I can fit, oh, I also have these 2, which are the smaller dahlias. I'm not keeping them in this pot because that would be way too small, but these I'm planning, I mean, we'll have to see. My plan was to transplant them into here, but because we had such a long cold spring, everything is behind, and since temperatures are about to jump, I don't even know if the beets are actually going to grow this fall, which is really sad because I was excited about the mix that I planted. This is the one where I used seed tape and was my first time using seed tape, and things are sprouting. Radishes down here are still also not close to being, I mean, maybe a little bit close, but again, with the weather jumping so much, I don't know how they're gonna do, but I don't know, that's not abnormal for a spring here in Chicago. But anyway, I originally was gonna move those two to the raised bed, so I'll either do that or just also pot them up in grow bags. But the plan is, so morning glory here with a trellis, morning glory here with a trellis. Along this wall, which gets the most sun throughout the day because the sun's shining from that direction, I want to have dahlias, sunflowers and dahlias, and dahlias. And I think that'll be really pretty. Last year, I think this dahlia got a slightly taller than the wall. So at some point, it'll just be a wall of beautiful color. At least that is the plan. And I did stake this dahlia already with a piece of my broken greenhouse. So again, I'm using things from the greenhouse that did not survive. I should probably go ahead and just stake the rest of them right now. This one, the smaller one, I don't think will need a stake, but we'll see. And then these are some of the seedlings I brought out. It's asters and what's the other one? Asters and straw flowers. And then I also brought out my lemon tree. This is not going to be the permanent place. I have to figure out where, because it's gonna need more sun. I might put it like in front of this raised bed because it shouldn't get too tall to block what will be in the raised bed. So that's over here. Then here are my tulips, which are just now opening. Again, I don't know what the warm weather is going to do to them. Here are the tulips that I got from Home Depot, which were already sprouting. So these I actually need to go ahead and trim soon. And then these I'll trim at some point and then move all of these downstairs. Over here, I am already out of space on my rack, but that's to be expected. So I brought out my basil up there. There's a basil down there. And then my mint. And these will probably get moved around. I mean, the plan is to keep at least like 3 on each row. And then 2, obviously, on these shelves. I want to hook up drip to my herbs this year, especially since I have so many. But they'll kind of move around based on height. Again, because this is like staggered, I have to keep the plants towards the front. We'll kind of see how that does with the height of the herbs, but I think it looks really nice full like that. Then over here are my Supertunias. The plan for the Supertunias is the exact same thing as last year, which was 1 in each corner of the center raised bed. If I have a photo, which I should, I will throw that up in here so you see what it looks like. And then I have my strawberry plants, my eggplant, tomato plants, and pepper plant. And then the tomatoes will go in 2 of these bags. Pepper plant will probably go in its own 10-gallon bag, and then same thing with the eggplant. I also got 2 more herbs, and I only have 2 more pots left. They're actually right here, so that should be all of the herbs I get, but I'll probably get more and just have to get more pots. But I picked up the peppermint chocolate. I had a chocolate mint last year. It's absolutely delicious in tea. I have a tea recipe for that I will link below. And then I got lemon thyme with a variegated leaf. So I've had that I think 2 years ago. Thyme in general is my favorite herb to put on almost everything. Lemon thyme I like as well, but it does taste a bit more lemony. It smells very lemony as well. And because it's variegated, I had to pick it up. So I have those to go in those 2 pots to go in the herb rack that I have no real room to put any herbs in anymore, but I am excited with how the garden is finally coming together. So I think that's going to be everything for this video. As we kind of get out of the transition from spring to summer, I will take you along with me and figure out where all these plants are going to be in a permanent place. I'm hoping there's going to be room for me to walk once I have all these plants out here. But thank you so much for joining along in this video. I'm very excited to have some space back in my house. I desperately need to vacuum. Oh, and I did get a question too as far as like watering the plants or any damage from watering. So everything in a grow bag, all the dahlias, when I had to water them, I brought them outside, watered them, and then took them back in. I think I really only had to water them once a week, I would say, when they were inside, because obviously they're not getting as much sun or heat from the sun when they are inside, so they didn't dry out that quickly. But yeah, I did not water anything in a grow bag inside. Or no, actually, I guess I did for the ones that were in the shower before they had sprouted. But again, I think I only watered those in once. So basically, I did not water them while they were on the wooden floor. But yeah, that's gonna be everything for this video. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.